Now, loving people is dangerous.
Test 1, 2.
But Jesus said what? Be of good cheer. Don't be afraid. I always think about that part on the lake. They see him coming and think he's a ghost, right? But he says, "Hey, relax, guys. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid." Do I need to test it? Testing.
I've got to say, don't use loud.
I'm loud. Okay. What's 2 Timothy tell us? God has not given us what? A spirit of fear. Power, love, and self-control. Tried to make a slide. Hey, y'all, this is the first time I've done this too, so y'all bear with me. Never tried slides, and I hadn't done it in years, probably since I was in engineering, and I could do this kind of thing. So I tried one here. I hope it makes sense. And it's why this idea of courage and love and the things that we have to do different from the world. It's how it all works, right? So most of us, you can have as many circles inside there as you want to. I just put the things that I think about, personally. Your home, your family, and then your service in a ministry, and then your career, your job, right? But all that stuff is not, we like to live partitioned lives, right? Because we can be one way at church, and we can be another way with your family, and you can be another way on your job. I know guys that get on the job, son, you're like, good gosh, where'd it come from? But this stuff's interconnected.
That's right.
And when you live your life that way, where one thing affects another, and you're the same person all the time and you never change, what's that take? That takes a amount of courage, right? Because I'm going to be the same guy at home, the same guy on the job, the same guy in the gym, the same guy here, the same guy there. I don't wear that mask. Think about a mask when you wear them. What happens to somebody's leg when they're in a cast all the time? If you wear that cast for 6 months, what happens to that leg? What if a person had on a mask like that, Cove, when you wore that mask for 6 months? What would you imagine you look like underneath there? Yeah, you'd be even uglier. Face probably be all drawed up, sores, all kind of stuff. It would be ugly underneath that mask. But a lot of believers, we got the Spirit of God inside us, but what do we wear? Scared to take it off. Scared to show the world who we are. Scared to reflect God. Wear that mask. And underneath that mask, you're doing what? Fading away. Dying. And in that connectedness is what? All that's part of what? The kingdom of God. The kingdom of God. It's all God's. And if it's all God's, what are we all scared of? What are we scared of? Why do we have to exercise? Why do we need that courage? You got to have it. Number one, I said to love people. But you got to have anything we do in our lives, man. You got to have it to teach. To stand up here and teach. To listen. To listen and respond to people. It takes courage, man, to sometimes hold your mouth when you want to say something, right? When people are daring you to say something, man, it takes something. To hold your mouth. To give, to receive, to learn. All that stuff requires courage. To be a child of God. It's not easy. I tell people it's simple, but it's not easy.
That's right.
It's not. In 1 Corinthians, the love, what do people call it, the love chapter or something like that. I was going to paraphrase this. That thing, we say we do all these things for God, right? But if we don't have what? Love. It's just a bell. It's nothing. We can say we do all these things in the kingdom. We do all these things everywhere. But if we don't have love, it's just a sounding gong. We don't have love. We don't have the courage to love. On to my next slide. And then that brings to mind about courage. Well, here's a couple passages here you can look at if you can read them. What the Bible has to say about them in Proverbs 3 and 25 and 26. I'm not going to read them to you, but you can see them. Don't be afraid of sudden terror. Courage. Don't be afraid. The Lord will be your confidence. And in Luke, don't be afraid. Don't be anxious for your life. Do not be afraid, little flock. It's your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Don't be afraid. If your Bible, think about how many times Jesus goes through the Bible and tells don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Fear not. Fear not. Right. Think through the Bible. How many times that happens? Fear not, fear not, fear not. And Joshua in particular, I just remember reading how many times God told Joshua, fear not. Be of good courage. It makes you wonder if maybe Joshua had, he's like, look, I better tell this guy to buck up because he ain't going to make it. We think about Joshua as being this great warrior, but hey, let me tell you something. Courage is not, you've heard this thing before, it's not the absence of fear, right? It's even when you're afraid, you still do what? Onward into the flames, man. Onward into it. Onward into the rush. So, move on to this next one. I've always been on this thing, here lately about why people have and have not. Why God's people suffer and don't prosper, and then other groups do. And I've just been reading some things about, this one popped up this morning, I wanted you guys to think about it. And it's about, in our community, our community is mostly Native American, but you got a representation of white and black and Hispanic. But it talks about minorities in particular, this article about, and it's fear. Yeah, I'll read you some highlights from this thing. It says people hesitant to get, and this was on the news this morning, that people hesitant to invest their money because they're afraid of risk. Courage. Courage, that's another way in our life. We got love, but then we got the way we live our life. And exhibit that courage. Because we can't be afraid with the resources God's given us. We just can't. Holding on to things does what? Yeah. There's nothing. You don't have anything, man. You're just holding on to it. That was another example I wanted to show you of how we as believers, we just hold on to stuff. And we don't talk about these things. But it's an interesting article about, you can look it up online, and it tells you the percentage of white Americans versus, I'm trying to find the numbers, I'll read them to you because it's really interesting. And it goes on to say that they're just that minorities are afraid, just afraid to invest their money, just hold on to it or spend it on, or don't know and spend it on stuff that don't matter. I was on, one I get on is fingernails. Me and Katie did that this morning in math. I'll go ahead and throw it out there. Y'all get mad at me if you want to. hey, here's my thing. I said, Katie, how much cost to do them fingernails? We talked about Katie. She said, well, maybe they spend $40 a month. I said, you spend $40 a month on your fingernails. 12 times a year. What's that, Barry? What's the math? $480. But you know how much Kramer, what can I buy at the stock market for $480, Dad? But them golf clubs will last me for years. Oh, she's brought up golf clubs. Them golf clubs last me for years. Yeah. Hey, look. Now I was thinking. I said, that's just your fingernails. I ain't got on the rest of it.
That's just one maintenance body part.
Yeah. But just the stuff we throw money away on. And I threw out. And another, I thought to Katie, I said, man, what about you spend at Starbucks on a latte or something, $5 coffee. What can you buy?
There's a $6 cup sitting on the floor next to me.
Yeah, I use that cup. Hey, sir, I've had that cup for a month. Look inside of it. Hey, it's stuff that, that's another thing. Hey, that's courage, man. It's the things we don't talk about, man. We know it's in the room, but everybody's like, it'll go away. Well, it ain't going away. Lack ain't going away if you let it stay in the room.
That's right.
Hey, man, I'm used to the doghouse, brother. Ain't. When you're a dog, where the dogs go? Dog house. But hey, what can you start? Go to Robinhood right now. What can you start an account with?
$5.
Nothing. Is it $5 or $1? I mean, it's nothing. You just take $5 to start an account and start buying stuff. Like Benjamin, he's telling me today, man, they'll give you a stock if you start an account. He had a friend got lucky, man, said he gave him 1 share of Apple. Now, brother, let me tell you something. Look in your little thing and see what a share of apple is today. It didn't cost them nothing. Just sign up. That's the stuff we don't talk about out of fear, man. We don't talk about money and resources, bud. It's crazy. And if I don't love you enough to tell you the deal, come on. But this thing, and they break it down by gender, about how women don't invest, but you look at other portions of America, man, and I'm sure financial people here can tell you, man, they invest, they put their money to use. They don't bury it. Jesus had a story about that, didn't he? Didn't end well for one of the persons in particular, did it? He probably put his in them fingernails. Yeah, I said it. Y'all ain't getting off that easy. Let's go back. If I can get this one slide to show up. Well, I can't get this one. I can't get this slide to show up. Let me talk about something that we had. Should have left that alone, shouldn't I? I don't know. It just shot out. Moving on. You know, a few years ago, we were having one of our prayer events, and I had found this report from the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation about our county, about the health of people in Robeson County. And here's another, the things we don't talk about, we don't do anything about, right? I'll just go through one or two of them, and then we can see the part that we all play in that. You know, the youth death rate in Robeson County, it's like twice what it is in the rest of the state. We're ranked last in health outcomes. 52% of our households are single-parent households. %30 of residents live below the poverty level. We just talked about that. The length of life, the average age of life is under 75. The quality, we're last in quality of life. Poor, fair health, mental health, low birth weights, high infant and child mortality, diabetes, HIV, mental distress. We're last in health behaviors. Smoking, inactivity, STDs, teen birth, motor vehicle deaths. Every time you pick up the Robesonian, somebody's getting killed in a car wreck. Why is that stuff that ought not be? Last in clinical care, unemployment rate. Reading, that's one that killed me. It was about our kids that can't read. Got teachers here? Man, if you can't read, that's a problem. There's help for that. It's an absolute fact that the person that can read and understand, he's going to win. That person will beat you. Just about everything you go through, he'll pick it up. The person that reads constantly growing. Because if you're not picking up something every day and reading and learning, then what are you doing compared to the rest of society? You're going backwards, right? You might say you're standing still, but you're really going backwards because somebody somewhere is learning something that you're not. So you're going backwards, right? What's that got to do with courage? Because we worry about what people think. I had friends, believe it or not, they were smart as all get out, but they would fail. They wouldn't even study because they didn't want to be, the bookworm, the nerd. And everybody here had friends like that. I guarantee you. They want to be cool. They'd rather be cool. Be cool. Being cool. That gets you somewhere, won't it? Yeah. The poorhouse. Being cool. They see me now, I'm walking around with books or reading something. I got friends now, they'll tell you, man, what you doing with all these books? I don't know, I was reading. But it's something to really think about. And like I said, and I'll talk about communication here in a minute. We don't talk about this stuff because it ain't cool. I want to go to church on Wednesday nights. I want somebody to get my holler on. Pastor Tim was just picking at me. I want to see the man, see somebody hacking. See, that's going to I'm just going to laugh. I can't hack. We get excited about them kind of things. But what good is that doing me Monday morning when I'm sitting in the bank trying to figure out how I'm going to pay my bills and do what I have to get done?
That's right, man.
It ain't helping me. I'm out of breath, though. I'm pulling something in the pew. Feeling good. We had a good time at church. Don't know what we did, but we had a good time. Yep. Have people tell me that all the time. Man, we had Sunday school 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 7 weeks. All right then, roll on. Nothing wrong with that, but okay, let's see if we get here. What's next? We're going to wind it down. What can we do next? We just talked about it. Don't be afraid to ask questions. You don't have. What did Jesus say? You don't have why? Because you don't ask. Let me ask you right now, just an honest show of hands, and I'm going to use them for example. How many people here know how Pastor Tim got started? Not the family. How many people in here know how he got started in his business? Did you ever ask? I mean, if you see a successful person, you don't ask them, whose fault's that?
It also shows up for Wednesday night because you thought on it right before it hit.
Okay. She's not here. Well, she is here. Where's Miss Ashley at? She here? Okay, Miss Ashley's here. You know, Miss Ashley's an accountant, right, or a bookkeeper. How many of you talked to Miss Ashley about your taxes? Or about tax questions or something, right? Now, y'all ain't got to raise your hand about this one because I know you do it and I don't understand it. How many of y'all gonna go to Walmart and pay them $500 to do your taxes? Or $100? When you can do it yourself. TurboTax. They still got the free one online. Some of them, you can do them free, depending on how complicated they are. Free, online, save you money. But I know people do it today. They'll go there and pay $400 because here's what they'll say. They say, well, they'll give me a check right then. Hey, that's the first thing I do is laugh because I don't even understand it. And then I explain to them why that's not good. Talk to people, ask questions, communicate. Talk to a successful business friend of mine. And he was going somewhere to a meeting. He said, brother, let me tell you something. The biggest problem I have is communication with people. He said, I can sit in a meeting and ask every one of them before we leave, you got any questions? Can I help you? You got any questions? And the next day, they don't know a thing you talked about. What they said they were going to do. Ask people. If somebody's doing something that you want to do, how many people ask Katie how to be a doctor in here that wants to be a doctor, wants to study medicine, anything in medicine? How many people have asked her about it? But now you get a call who you're talking to. Katie, I got a pain right here. Talk about it. How many talk to Coville? About long-term planning or this, that, and the other. How many know about Robinhood? You can start with $0. You can start an account and start making money. They're giving you money. There's one of them. I think it's Coinbase. They'll give you $100 when you sign up. I'm talking about give you money to start investing. Be courageous. Think about those kind of things. Here's another one we talk about. What's next? When you come to church on Sunday, don't just experience it, all right? Don't go for the event, don't experience it. What should we do when we leave on Sunday? Use it. Exercise it. Share it. Do something with it. Do something with it. It's crazy to go somewhere for just an experience, unless it's a concert, because that's all you're going for there. But not walk on your path. You want to reduce some fear about some of these things. Say, you're like, man, I don't know if I want to put my money in something or invest or do these kind of things. I don't know if I want to go buy a book. Get a library card. You can get books. You can get books free. Y'all know that, right? Get it on your phone. Put it right next to whatever else you're doing on your phone. Here's how you reduce fear. These things: plan, do, act. Plan something. If you're scared to do it, think about it. Plan it out. Everybody's heard this, spend 95% of your time planning on it. And Jesus talked about that too, right? Who builds a house and who builds something, don't plan. If you spend more time planning and think about it, the fear goes away, right? And then go ahead and do it. Do it. I think I got to do and act. That's just That's the next one. Failure is not fatal. If something blows up, man, trust me, it's okay. Where's Crystal at? What I tell Adam last week when he was talking about his job and the problems he was having with folks and things, what I tell him that people can't do? Man, I don't care how bad you mess up on your job, what goes wrong in your career. Katie Lowry can fuss at me all day. Pastor Tim can holler at me all day long. What can't he do? He can't eat me. He can't eat me. Yes. That's something we used to say all the time. No matter how mad you get at me, man, you can't eat me. You can fuss at me all day, Kenyatta, get mad, but you ain't going to eat me. So don't be afraid to fail. That's the point. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to take chances, man. God did not give us that thing to be afraid.
Yes.
Because you cannot, what's that old saying, you can't steal second with your foot on first? Don't try it. Winding down. Here's something else I think that we do, is that we always worry about the calling, the call to do something, right? And I've done this one. This is just me talking. And I know God has said, well, Mark, I want you to do X, Y, Z. And then I'll look around. I got a funny story about that. Stephen Kahn and I were somewhere at a ministry event, and the lady pointed in our direction. And both of us at the same time, we were like, and then he looked at me and I looked at him. I said, she talking to you or me? But we do that with our calling sometimes. We think, here's what we think, that can't be for me because I can't do it. We worry about intersecting somebody's calling. That's what I call it. You're intercepting somebody's calling. That's meant for somebody else. That's meant for that person behind me. You're not talking to me. God's not talking to me. He's talking to. Go for it. If it wasn't your calling, what's going to happen? Go back up to number 3. Try to correct it. Repeat it. Try it again. If it keeps failing, hey, somebody will tell you. Say, man, Mark, I think the nursery just ain't for you, brother. All these Harlem babies, it's just not for you. But go for it sometime. Yeah. Go for it. Take a chance. Just go for it. Just roll the dice, see what happens. We always say there's no sacred cows here. If you mess up, man, all of us do it. Remember this. This is the thought. Just to remember, just to get your courage and get you bucked up and get y'all ready to go out there tomorrow and get after something. God's for you. God's for you. He's not against you. The kingdom, what we do, the kingdom, us inside here, in this room that are saved, born again believers, we're not in trouble. We're not in trouble. Now the world might be in trouble, but who's got the answer? And we got to point it to them, man. That's the way I read this one time. This is a great way to put it, to think about it. The world, they're starving for something. They are. They're starving for something. Because everybody wants what? Love. And they want to belong to something. They're starving. We're beggars, right? We found the bread, haven't we? We got the bread and we got the water. Now what will we do with the other beggars? Hey! That's what we would do, man. If I knew my best friend over here, he's a beggar, he's starving to death, and I got water and bread, now what am I going to do?
Feed him.
Come here, Pa!
Introduce him to the world.
That's what we got to do. We got to introduce this world that's lost to who? God. Jesus is the answer, right? So the kingdom's not in trouble, man, and we're not either. Go out, get it by the horns, ride it like you own it. Because God told it. So hey, questions, comments. Who's going to be your scaredy cat tomorrow? Huh? Katie's like, anybody ever watch The Croods with the kids? Never not be afraid. We're not going to be the Croods, right? We're God's people. Never not be afraid. New is bad. Y'all remember that? Don't be the